Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the BBC News at 1. With exactly 1 year before the UK is due to leave the European Union, Theresa May is touring the UK, pledging to make Brexit a success for everybody. The Prime Minister has told the BBC that leaving the EU will mean there's extra money available to spend on the NHS and schools. And she said she's confident of securing a deal that's good for all parts of the UK, and there is a bright future ahead. Our political correspondent Chris Mason has this report.
On days like today, heavy with symbolism, politicians like to indulge in their own grand gestures. So the Prime Minister's hurtling around the country, championing one union, the UK, a year before we leave another, the EU. At breakfast time, a Weavers in Ayr. By mid-morning, a toddler group in Newcastle. And an appointment with our political editor, Laura Koonsberg.
Of course, when we leave the European Union, we're no longer going to be spending vast sums of money year in and year out, sending that money to the European Union. So there will be money available here in the UK for us to spend on our priorities like the NHS and schools.
So do you believe there will be a Brexit dividend? Would you call it that?
Well, look, there's going to be money that otherwise we would have been sending to the European Union that we're going to be able to spend on the priorities in the UK.
And would you rule out a tax rise for the NHS?
We're going to look at a multi-year funding settlement. We're going to ensure that as we do that, we continue to take a balanced approach to our economy. That's what's enabled us to put money already into the NHS. We're already committed to spending extra sums of money on the NHS.
So I know you're not ruling out a tax rise potentially.
We will, as part of our normal processes, we will look at the funding, but we've got to look at the long-term plan.
Do you think Brexit will be worth it?
I think there are real opportunities for the United Kingdom. I think there's a bright future out there. And yes, I think Brexit is going to deliver. A country, it will be different, but I think there are real opportunities for us as an independent nation for the future.
Politics has been, is and will be dominated by this moment Leave's victory for years. And Labour say the government has no time to waste.
What we want is a Brexit for jobs, a Brexit for our economy. What we can't see at the moment, 1 year on, but actually not a year to go. The vote in Parliament, by which time we've got to know what this government's doing, will take place in a lot less than a year.
And yes, the political debate still rages, from those saying we need another referendum to those saying the opposite.
The big picture is that a year from today, we will leave the Treaty of Rome and the subsequent treaties, and we will be an independent country. And I think that, perhaps today of all days, is the thing that we need to sort of focus on. So we are going to leave the European Union. I personally can't stand some of the concessions that have been made.
There is a demand from the public for that vote on the deal, and that is, in our view, the Liberal Democrat view, the democratic route to provide people with another option, and that is the option to stay in the European Union.
Delivering Brexit is a colossal challenge. Absolutely worth it, say some. Self-defeating, say others. What few dispute is that it amounts to a wholesale rewiring of our politics, and so potentially our country as well. And it's a job that is only just beginning. Chris Mason, BBC News at Westminster.
Good afternoon. The Prime Minister has insisted that Scotland can have a bright future after Brexit, and she dismissed accusations of a power grab in the row over EU powers in devolved areas like farming and fishing. But at Holyrood, the First Minister said Brexit would be hugely damaging and that those who supported it would never be forgiven. This from our political editor, Brian Taylor.
Cutting the cloth to suit.
I wouldn't be able to do that. When I cut it way.
Visiting a textile firm in Ayr, the Prime Minister insists that Scotland can adapt successfully to life after Brexit within the Union.
Brexit provides us with opportunities. I want to see us coming together, the four nations across the United Kingdom. We have a very strong union that is in our interests, and it's in our interest to come together and really seize these opportunities for the future.
On EU powers in devolved areas like farming, she said it was sensible to retain some powers in London initially to maintain a common UK market.
Well, first of all, let's be clear, there is no power grab. We are not taking back any of the powers that are currently devolved to the Scottish Government. Indeed, the Scottish Government will be receiving more powers as a result of us leaving the European Union. What we're discussing with the Scottish Government is how we can do that and ensure that we still maintain the ability for Scottish farmers, for Scottish businesses to trade freely across the whole of the United Kingdom.
At Holyrood, the First Minister said her government would refuse to back the EU withdrawal bill without a deal on devolved powers. And she warned that Brexit would undermine Scotland's economic prospects.
We have a deeply divided Tory party that are putting their ideological interests ahead of the interests of the country. And for as long as that remains the case, then the interests of not just Scotland but the whole UK are going to be deeply damaged. And that will be the Tory legacy to Scotland and to the rest of the UK. And I think future generations will never, ever forgive them for it.
In an Edinburgh restaurant, Scottish ministers meet people who have voiced worries over Brexit. The Scottish Government insists that Brexit will be harmful, but that the damage can be limited by staying in the European single market.
And Brian joins me now from Holyrood. Still from that, Brian, no sign of a deal yet over those devolved powers.
No, that's right, Sally. It's one of many, many loose ends in the Brexit scenario with just a year to go. The talks are continuing among officials under the radar, if you like. Theresa May says that a deal is potentially close. Nicola Sturgeon says she just doesn't recognise that description at all, that it's stalemate. Now, you got basically till the end of April, early May, while the bill is going through Westminster, the withdrawal bill is going through Westminster to sort this out. I think there will be a deal. I think there will be a deal particularly because it is in the interests of the UK government to settle this one. Frankly, they don't need another fight around Brexit.
Brian Taylor, thank you very much.